on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Tuesday. Welcome back to the channel. Pleasure to have you here. Having a look at what is going on in the markets. Bitcoin is up 8.11%. On the day, we have a $10,687 Bitcoin. You can see we basically have just been pumping. We leveled out a little bit, and then we pumped again, and then we leveled out, and we pumped again. And we actually hit all the way up to about $10,753 on futures, and currently we are sitting a little bit lower right now. But that being said, it has been an amazing 24 hours for Bitcoin. If you've been following the channel, you know 2 days ago, we basically said, is this the Bitcoin calm before the storm? And of course, yesterday's video was Bitcoin setting up for a parabolic run. Well, you let me know, but it definitely looks like we are really on a tear these past couple of hours. But I do want to be realistic about it. We do have some resistance ahead. I do want to talk about that short term, right? Also, I want to discuss the fact that we sort of have a Bitcoin ETF in a way, sort of. We're going to get into that. Also, Bitcoin dominance has pushed all the way up to 73% on TradingView. This is the highest we have seen it in about a year and a half. And finally, I want to end on one historical Bitcoin metric, okay? We're going to look at this data, and it has recently just flipped bullish. So if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, well, at this point, I'd say you're definitely missing out because we have been absolutely smashing it this week. And also, don't forget, every Monday we do give away a Ledger Nano S on the channel. All you got to do is drop a comment on any video throughout the whole course of the week, and you are eligible. Now, let's give this a quick refresh live. So Bitcoin dominance is up to 70.5%. This is on CoinMarketCap. It's a lot higher on some of the other websites, right? But having a look at this, Bitcoin, you can see, is up 7.85% according to CoinMarketCap. Now, while you are seeing a lot of the other altcoins up in the green, in reality, they're just sort of being dragged along with Bitcoin's price. And if we switch this to the Bitcoin comparative, you're going to notice that the majority of the altcoins are in the red today. They are not able to keep up with Bitcoin. Now, however, looking at some of the biggest altcoin gainers of the day, we have V-Systems up 15%, Quant 12.5%, Hedge Trade, Made Safe, Riff, Komodo, of course, Bitcoin, and Synthetics as well. Now, let's dive in, and I want to talk about something because this Bitcoin dominance over here, currently sitting around 72.94%, is starting to put in a bit of a parabolic curve. I think you can clearly see right here, you know, it looks like the Bitcoin dominance is basically just looking to skyrocket. We are well above these levels that we, you know, had the all-time high, not the all-time high, but the high back in December. Yeah, so we haven't seen levels like this pretty much since July of 2017. So also, the other thing I want to point out is we finally have some real 10 volume coming in, $1.5 billion. This is very good for Bitcoin. I don't think I have to tell you basically what's going on now. I actually had this blue zone set up earlier, but Bitcoin just kept pumping and pumping and pumping. So, I mean, if we do have a pullback, you can kind of hope that this sort of resistance around the $10,250 level would create that support. If we fall into the box, I'm looking at around 10,160. And then if we fall below that, then we may actually be reversing the trend. But, you know, having a look at basically like what Dave the Wave said, he was talking about the Gaussian channel, a major momentum indicator. It turned red. So some people were like, oh no, it turned red. That's a bad thing. But if you look at the daily, it gives you bearish in the medium term. The weekly Gaussian gives you bullish in the long term. So you can see right here, he basically says if you combine the two charts, you have a large correction of an overheated and premature parabolic move. We're not in a bear market like some people are still saying. I mean, guys, the trend is your friend until the end. We are still going up. We just needed to cool off. We had to cool off, right? Nothing goes up forever. But remember how long we were trapped in between these two moving averages? Literally for 2 weeks straight, we were just bouncing between the 50 and the 100. Well, we finally got above the 50. And if we can hold above here for at least a day or two, then I think we may have put in a new support, okay? Now, having a look at the giant triangle right here, we were very concerned about this $10,100 level. And we had this resistance coming down. Well, we just blasted through it. We had no problem, right? So what is our next stop? Well, obviously it's getting stomped out by this resistance at around $11,134. But if we are able to get out of this downwards channel and above the $11,300 level, as you can see right here, it's this purple line, then I think that we would be definitely looking a lot better for the charts. And don't forget, we still are putting in higher lows on the charts. This is good. We are above the EMA ribbon. The EMA ribbon is starting to well, it was inverting. Now it's going back to its original shape, which is good. This is definitely positive on the daily short term. And as you can see, this is sort of the curve that we've been respecting with these wicks. And you can see as we're getting closer and closer, it's looking like it wants to have a breakout this month, okay? Don't forget, we do have BACT coming out on September 23rd. That's going to be well, I think a lot of people are pretty excited about it. You know, some people are saying it could have a negative impact on the market. We'll see. It is physically settled, though, which does make it different. But you can see right here, once again, we are looking at maybe resistance around that $11,000, $11,100 level. So if you are currently in a long and we keep going up higher, just be careful. Not financial advice, but just be careful of that resistance. We may go the other way, right? There also is a potential chance that the whales are not going to let it go that high. They may try to push it back down to around 9,500 before pumping it back up again. But that being said, we've basically maintained inside of this region the entire time. So here is the metric I wanted to talk about, this historic Bitcoin data set, right? Today gives its first Demark buy 9 signal since January 22nd of the beginning of this year. Previous signal led the 400% rally over 6 months. This is the second signal of the year. So $9,300 could be looking like it was the low for this current correction. Good time to buy and place stop below that low, playing for new 2019 all-time highs. And this is from Dan Tapiro over at DTAP Capital, right? Now, the question is, what is going on with these CME future gaps? Well, it was, you know, for a second I was saying, hey, maybe we are going to go down. Maybe we are going to, you know, fill this gap and retest these lower levels. And if we were to do that, well, we'd have to go down to $8,500. But having a look at what's going on in the charts currently, it doesn't look like we're going to be filling these gaps anytime soon. Could we eventually get to the end of the wedge and fall down? Absolutely. We spoke about that in yesterday's video. But currently speaking, things are feeling quite bullish. In fact, it was interesting because Raoul Pal, he put this out the other day. And he said right here, if you don't have any Bitcoin, then this looks like the last time to board the rocket ship. I love wedge patterns like this. They have a high probability of success. Good luck. There is a shit ton going on in macro land. Now, he actually reposted, and I actually retweeted this on my Twitter, and he said, I've never had this many bearish comments from the Bitcoin community. Feels like it's going to go up without a lot of people fully on board. Now, I'm not saying to do the opposite of the markets, but most people tend to be wrong. And if everybody is saying the price is going to go down, then the smart money is going to pump Bitcoin, right? Because they have the ability to do that. They have the capital, they can pump the volume, and don't forget, they can manipulate futures as well, which I spoke about a few days ago on the channel. So that is just something to keep in mind. Unfortunately, you are seeing a lot of negativity when it comes to the altcoins still, and I've tried to remain as neutral as possible on this because I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. You guys know that. However, I have suggested hedging into Bitcoin basically since the beginning of this year because Bitcoin has been leading the markets. If you can actually hedge into Bitcoin now, then if the altcoins do eventually have their rally, you'll have a lot more to go in. You see, you can actually make a bigger exponential gain, right? Well, Max Kaiser says altcoins are never coming back, right? Let's have a look at this because I'm going to be honest with you. The altcoins were following this trend very nicely. They had this peak on June 27th, and ever since then, you could see they fell down pretty much on like a reverse kind of like a negative parabolic trend, right? You can see they're just getting stomped out right here. The only time that it actually sort of consolidated, with the exception right here, was trying to stay on this trend line, right? Now, we do have increasing volume for the altcoins. That is a good thing. But as a whole, the altcoins continuously outperformed as compared to the Bitcoin comparative, right? Even Peter Brandt, the guy who yesterday said that we're starting the parabolic trend possibly, said, when will altcoin junkies understand that Bitcoin is the crypto with real and lasting value. Altcoins are to Bitcoin what lead is to gold. Wow, that's pretty incredible. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, currently you are noticing the altcoins getting hit. There have been some that have performed well, but overall, none of them are really keeping up pace with Bitcoin. What are you doing right now? Are you currently hedging into altcoins slowly? Are you just riding the Bitcoin wave? I'm curious right now because I'm sitting heavily in Bitcoin until I have confirmation that the altcoins are ready to rally. I mean, here's the thing, looking at this Bitcoin dominance, you really can't deny the fact that we're pushing. I mean, right now we're at 72.98. I think we're actually going to break 73% live during this video. So as the Bitcoin dominance continues to climb, the altcoins are going to continue to get hit, right? So it's just a reality of the fact. It doesn't really matter what your opinion is on the situation. The numbers, the charts, and what's actually happening with the money flow, you can't deny that, right? So that's just something that I wanted to point out moving forward. But you see Samson Mao, he's the CEO of Blockstream. He says, don't celebrate the Bitcoin dominance going up. It's a flawed metric that implies shitcoins with unlimited supply have real value. But you know what is the real Bitcoin dominance we should be looking at? Honestly, the one we should really be looking at, this Bitcoin dominance right here. This is Bitcoin compared to gold and fiat. And you can see right here, fiat money still represents 90.82% of all the money in the world. I'm not talking about derivatives and all those other, stuff. We're just talking about hard money. Gold, 9%, and Bitcoin, a mere 0.09%. So when you look at this chart and you tell me that, oh, it's too late to the Bitcoin train, it's just too expensive, I'll never be able to make any gains. Have a look at this chart. There is a lot of, we're not even at 0.1% yet. We're not even at 1% yet, guys. So if you think you're too late to the party, you're not, okay? That's all I wanted to say moving forward. Now, what are your options? Well, if the altcoins are not performing well and you can only dollar cost average so fast, well, you can do margin trading, futures trading, leverage trading. However, it is very dangerous. And if you use very high leverage, you're going to get wrecked, okay? You're going to get wrecked. So be safe. But as you can see right here, you have Binance coming out and they're offering $220,000 to test their Bitcoin futures platforms. And they're going to have two different platforms coming out. But I know what you're saying. US citizens, we're going to get kicked off of Binance by September 12th, which is very, very fast approaching, right? Well, there is another option. Bitfinex just launched their 100x. Do not trade on 100x leverage derivatives, but if you're interested, you can check that out. Now, you can see right here, they say qualified Bitfinex account holders will be able to trade a new hedging product through a derivatives wallet. The product will have USDT-based collateral unavailable in the rest of the market, up to 100x leverage. I don't know what it says in here about US. They may offer that. I know currently you can't trade if you're a New York citizen. So once again, guys, my favorite platform is ByBit. I've had no issues with this. It has been a seamless experience. You do not get overloads. There's plenty of liquidity for the average trader as long as you don't over leverage yourself. Be safe. If you're interested in how to use this, Bitcoin was up 8%. If you had a 5x leverage, you could have 40x'd in a day, right? But obviously, some people get crazy and, they risk it all high leverage. But if you guys are interested, you don't know how to do this kind of stuff, I do have a tutorial. I'll drop it above. And if you want, I do have a link below. If you use my link, it does help support the channel, but you don't have to, obviously. But that just being said, guys, that's what a lot of people are doing right now. A lot of people are switching over to these futures type platforms, right? Now, even speaking on the ETF, right? It says, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal, the VanEck Securities and SolidX Management, which have previously had a decision on their proposed Bitcoin ETF postponed by the SEC, are now taking somewhat of an unusual approach. Now, this is not friendly to the retail traders, but what they're going to do is use an SEC exemption that will allow shares in the VanEck SolidX Bitcoin Trust to be offered to institutions such as hedge funds and banks. Interesting, right? So the shares are planned to be sold Thursday under the SEC's Rule 144A, which allows privately placed securities to be traded among qualified institutional buyers. So yeah, currently we don't actually have a real ETF that's been approved, but Robert Jackson, he is the SEC commissioner, says that he does believe that by the end of this year, we will see an ETF that'll meet the SEC standards. But the real question is here, do you really care? Do you really care? Does anybody actually care about this damn ETF at this point? Anyway, moving on. Oh, this is a funny story. I just wanted to really quick. So just recently, you guys know Tim Draper, right? He met the Argentinian president and put his bet on Bitcoin trouncing the Argentine peso in the near future. And if he wins, Tim demands that Argentina should do away with the peso and adopt Bitcoin as the national currency. We can only eagerly await, right? But getting back on the topic of Bakkt, you know, the important thing about it that makes it so different, and I know a lot of people are saying Bakkt is going to come out and they're just going to short it the same way that the CME did. Maybe they will. I don't know. I'm just a guy on the internet, but it is different because these are physically settled, right? So they're going to offer regulatory compliant platform as well to traders. They received the green light from the New York Department of Financial Services, which, as you guys know, New York, it's pretty important, right? As well as from the CFTC. So not only, you know, basically they've taken care of a lot of the regulatory concerns that some of these people are afraid to get in, right? Some people don't want to get involved in Bitcoin until they know that everything is completely okay, regulatory compliant, right? So they're saying that the probability of success of its Bitcoin futures is very high because it's being operated by ICE, which has effectively managed the New York Stock Exchange for quite some time, right? So everyone is still pretty excited about Bakkt. Let me know, do you guys think that when Bakkt comes out, the price is going to dump? Or do you think this time it may actually be extremely bullish? Or do you think that we're just totally priced in, right? But I do want to be fundamentally objective here, right? Not everything is perfect. In fact, the Bitcoin Lightning Network has actually had some issues recently. An Australian coder revealed a significant security flaw in the Lightning Network, which is designed to boost the speed and lower... Oh, that's just describing what it is. I'm sorry, excuse me. The issue with it is that it could cause people to lose their funds. Now, they didn't say the exact problem. They didn't like say what the loophole was. The reason is if they put it out there, well, now a hacker knows, right? So they urge that everybody updates. So you can see over here on the Lightning Network capacity that even though we hit a high for Bitcoin, we have had higher for dollars, right? But Bitcoin hit its highest on May 9th where it had about 1,100, and now it's currently sitting around 835. So we will keep our eyes on this moving forward. But listen, a lot of these are experimental. A lot of them have their issues in the beginning. I mean, for example, just speaking on Bitcoin Cash, they also have faced some criticism as well. You may be familiar with Amari Sachet. He responded to the criticism of some miners by another pro Bitcoin Cash user. In response, the developer suggests that a Bitcoin Cash node would not be able to process a block of transactions 2 megabytes or larger. Now, don't forget, larger blocks were a central component. They were like the selling point when Bitcoin Cash first came out, right? The whole idea was that the 1 megabyte blocks are not big enough. And now they're saying that they're having difficulty filling 2 megabyte blocks. And you can even come over here. This is just loading. But once it's done, you can actually see the transactions between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Now, Bitcoin is obviously down here at the bottom, and Bitcoin Cash is at the top. Now, the whole idea of this website is to show you that basically Bitcoin is a one-lane highway, and it's slow, and it's clunky. But the thing is you can see that this up here, there's not really that many people using it, right? So I just wanted to point that out moving forward. And yeah, you know, these lanes represent the different things. So right here would be the 2 megabyte level. So realistically speaking, they're having difficulty filling anything within the rest of the highway. So, you know, it's great that you have this giant highway, but, you know, no one's using it and you can't fill the block. So kind of what's the point? It's like bragging rights, but no one's using it. So just wanted to point that out moving forward. Also, guys, friendly reminder, it is tough right now. Bitcoin is clearly the king. It is taking over all dominance. Altcoins are suffering. Is now a good time to be loading up on altcoins? I mean, how many times have people said this is the bottom for the alts? This is the bottom for the alts. Personally, I still think that you're not going to have a collective surge in altcoins the way that we saw it in 2017 ever again, honestly. But when we do see the good altcoins surging, the ones that have good fundamentals, then I think that you're going to really see that happen once Bitcoin gets to some of those higher levels, because right now, everyone is still currently focusing on Bitcoin. That's just the situation. That's just what's happening. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just the guy in the video, but this is what I'm seeing with my own eyes in the crypto space, okay? But that being said, do whatever you guys want, okay? Please be safe out there. Thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. Let's have a look at what Bitcoin is doing. Wow, we're holding pretty steady. Actually, futures are a little bit low. We're about 10, 6, 8, 9 right now. real price sitting around 10.7. So it has certainly been an exciting 24 hours for Bitcoin. I'm definitely getting pumped. We are still in this channel. There is still a chance that we get, we hit the resistance, we fall down to support, and we could still bounce around a little bit toward, maybe for the next week or so, but we are definitely getting close to a pretty explosive move, hopefully to the upside if you do think that we are still in this mega bullish uptrend, which I personally do, but everyone has their own opinion, and I'm just a guy on the internet. But thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, definitely check it out. Also, be sure to turn on the bell notification so you get these